Hiya peeps, hillbilly halfwit here. Today we're going to sort out the immigration problem in the UK in one big swoop. I didn't mention it yesterday because I wanted to do a special video on it, and this is it. So if you haven't watched me before, I'm hillbilly halfwit, and we are doing an imaginary thing. If I was the PM or in a position to sort it all out, how we would solve these huge problems in one swipe. And sorry, I got a bit of a mark on my face because I caught myself yesterday. Anyway, what we do, obviously these special boat people, all these nurses and doctors are coming from abroad, but when they get over to the UK, they've got no passport, have they? They've slung their passport for some bizarre reason. I would never know what that is. So they are illegal immigrants if they haven't got a passport or identification. So that is against the law. And it should be. If I went to France for the same thing, they'd put me in prison. Now, here's what I do. Because these people go through hoops to try and the human rights law to get not get deported. Now, because they're illegal, I'd give them three options. If you've got a passport and you are genuinely an asylum seeker or are in trouble, with a passport, I would let you in. Because I know your history then, if you're a criminal or whatever. If you're not, and maybe not a doctor, like they say they are, you may be an Al-Qaeda representative, or, you know, there's plenty of these warmongers around. I'd give them two options, so you'd have two options. Because you're illegal, you're going to do either, well, first option is you're going to do a stretch in prison, 5 years in prison, at least, until we know who you are. And in that time you're in there, you need to tell us who you are and where you come from. Otherwise, you keep that sentence keeps going. And maybe you'll be put to work building a few more prisons as well. Second option is you don't have to go to prison, but we give you a free boat ride back where you come from. So you can either go to prison for 5 years, tell us who you really are, or we'll give you a free boat ride back where you came from. Third option, if you don't want to take them two options, is you will join a new expedition service in the UK, and it's going to be an army regiment that's going to be made up. And what it's going to do is you're going to be sent abroad instantly, and you're going to go to some of the most dangerous places in the world to look after the people in wars and severe places. So if you decide not to show your passport, don't tell me who you are, or don't want a trip back, you would become a British citizen, but you'd go straight into that organisation, and you'd have to serve there for 5 to 10 years. And you'd go to a lot of these places on the front line, helping out the populations there. But if you didn't want to do that, we'll give you a free trip back. Now, those three options is what I do. Because they would be a British citizen, and they would be anyway if they were let in, we can send them where we want then. You don't need no laws. You don't need to go through any hoops. Just create that new division in the army, the expeditionary force, the boat people expeditionary force. And they could go to Palestine and go and try and sort a bit of that out. Clean up the streets in Palestine. Or Iraq, do some good things. And it'd all be very, very legal. And it'd save us billions a year. And you have to remember that they are trying to say that they're not spending the I think it was 5 billion. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. We did do a video on it, how much they're spending on this illegal problem. And they're trying to say it's coming out of the budget where they're spending abroad. It isn't. It's just made up trying to save the civil service. So there we are. There's Gaza's short way of getting around everything Of course, you give them the option to go back and we'll give you a free trip back you come from. But the other options is them 3 options. If you're genuine, you'll have a passport and we can check your history of what you've been up to. Otherwise, you could, instead of being a doctor or a nurse like we're always told, they could be a terrorist from Palestine or Al-Qaeda or ISIS, couldn't they? And of course, if I went to go to somewhere like France without a passport, I'd get slammed in the prison. So that is Gaza's way of sorting it out. So I wonder if anybody take it up. I don't suppose they will. Just think of all the great things they'd be doing there. You imagine them, if all them people would rush to Palestine now to try and save all them little children. Eh? Surely they couldn't refuse that. So please comment, rate and subscribe. And always like to, and share as well. It's always nice to see you sharing my stuff. As you know, we get my stuff seems to be kept down on YouTube, but never mind. We'll still keep going. Ta-da.